Colombia's peso was the best performing among 26 emerging market currencies during the first quarter. It's gained 38%, in fact, since President Alvaro Uribe took office back in 2002. There is concern, though, that the peso's rally is driving up perhaps the country's unemployment rate, prompting Bank of America and or RBS to forecast today that the record run may be nearing its end. For perspective and the outlook for the country and investing there, now we're joined by Guillermo Plata, Colombia's Minister for Commerce, for Industry and Tourism. He's joining us now from Cartagena, where the World Economic Forum on Latin America is underway as we speak. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Minister.
Hello, Margaret. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thanks for making time in your schedule today. Can you tell me, when people hear Colombia, they hear Latin America, that the investment opportunities they may think of perhaps are more Brazil, they think more of Chile. Tell me about Colombia's competitive edge.
Well, Colombia is a country which suffers still from an image problem. Reality in Colombia has changed dramatically, but there's what we call the image gap, which means that reality has changed, but image still lags behind. So that's why we're hosting events like the World Economic Forum in Colombia, so people would understand the realities taking place in Colombia, a country where foreign direct investment has surged from levels of about $1 billion a year in 2002 to $10 billion flows in the past couple of years. We've made a tremendous transformation in the country, first by reclaiming the country back, by reestablishing security, and second by making an investment climate that it's probably one of the most attractive in the whole region in Latin America.
You are putting it softly there to say an image problem. When people think of Colombia, and this has to frustrate you, they think of FARC and the terror efforts. They think perhaps in the recent past, particularly about the drug problems in Colombia right now. Tell me how an investor should be heartened to put money to work in Colombia right now.
Well, we have what I call the image of the 90s. So we're still seeing, as we were seeing in the 90s, it's a very different country these days. Like you said, our currency is one of the strongest in the region. The economy is one of the strongest in the region, with economic growth last year and interesting growth for this year. FDI is probably the second or third largest recipient in the whole region. Exports have more than tripled. Our stock market index is one of the most successful in the whole area. So when you look at Colombia, you have to detach the image, the preconceived image, from the reality. And the reality is that Colombia is one of the most vibrant economies in the whole region today. We have at the World Economic Forum here in Cartagena over 550 CEOs from around the world, which for most of them is the first time they come to Colombia, because they wouldn't dare otherwise to be here. But now that they're here and people see the reality of the country, I think it's the best way to present and promote Colombia.
So the State Department says that of the foreign direct investment you just cited last year, the U.S. accounts for about $9 billion worth of that. What is FDI like in 2010, and how big a portion of that is the U.S. making up?
Well, last year, total FDI into Colombia, latest figures, is about $7.5 billion, and the U.S. makes around 25% of it. For this year, we expect that FDI should be around the $10 billion mark, and the U.S. should make about 20, 25, 30% of that total FDI.
And now, when we hear about Colombia here in the U.S., you often bring it back to what's happening or not happening on the free trade front. President Obama has said he wants to double exports within the next 5 years, hoping perhaps that Colombia might be one of those new partners. Do you believe that when President Uribe's term ends there in August, that he will be able to leave with a free trade agreement in hand?
Margaret, we're very hopeful that that will happen. The free trade agreement was signed between Colombia and the U.S. 3 years ago. It's not in place yet because it has not been approved by the U.S. Congress. I hope that President Obama's words turn into action, and that the reality is that by this year we will have a FTA between the U.S. and Colombia in place. Let's hope that that's the case, and that by August the 7th, which is the date when President Uribe's term ends, the FTA between Colombia and the U.S. becomes a reality.
How will that change the competitive edge that Colombia has? I mean, what are the businesses that you want to bring there now, and how would that change if Congress does move forward on this?
Well, we made a tremendous transformation in our industrial base over the past few years. We're focusing more now on services and value aggregation, and I would mention four industries in which Colombia is become really competitive in the region. One is software and IT. The other one is business process outsourcing, much like the case in India, where it has developed this industry, so the services. So is the case for Colombia for the Hispanic market in the U.S. and the Spanish-speaking market. Cosmetics and personal care products based on natural ingredients and biodiversity is a growing sector in Colombia, very, very dynamic. And the fourth one is medical tourism, where people from other parts of the region, other parts of the world, are coming to Colombia to seek medical treatment and to seek for surgeries and so forth,
well,
based upon a very strong medical sector,
with that, Minister
probably as a
Plata.
result
I'm sorry,
of
I have to cut you off and leave it there.